This is the second video that's going to expand on the first video in terms of content and also detailing of the business plan. As I mentioned earlier, AEW Welding Repair is an existing business that was started in 2021 during the height of the pandemic. During this time, I was able to sign my first contract lease and invest heavily into my business. This investment had many hurdles into it in terms of debt and experience and certain things I had to learn along the way for me to excel as a business owner and also as a welder. The problem is many people don't have access to heavy machinery such as I did, or access to people who have the skill sets to really teach them how this trade really works and the pitfalls within welding. Now, welding is a heavy skill set, so it requires a very excellent teacher to really learn it well. Now, in my welding adventures, I never really had a mentor. I had jobs I've worked before in the past that taught me the basics and the necessities and how to weld. Many of my own skill set had to be learned from either failing at welding or increasing my knowledge by reading every publication and every book that I could find, reaching organizations such as the American Welding Society for information on welding. That way I could grow my own skill set. Now, a year later, I feel really confident in my skill set and my ability to teach others. And this is how I want to return back to my community, by allowing myself to teach people who may not have the access or the ability to learn this trade, and mainly due to economic reasons, not having enough money to afford a $2,000 welding machine and the possible 10 grand of equipment to get into it. Many schools that exist out there will charge a high heavy fee, up to $40,000 to teach someone how to weld, and on the low end, one class could cost $3,000 for a semester's worth. This is where I want to provide something for the community at a cheaper rate. My advantage is that I have a low rent, very dirt cheap low rent, and I have the equipment needed to start this project out. My business plan is focused on marketing needs to help the current business, but also providing a plan on how to create a learning space so people can come to learn how to weld. Now, the market for welding is a high demand market. There's not enough skilled welders to meet the demand of work that is out there. And in doing a market analysis of the existing labor pool, there's very frightening information, such as minorities being greatly underrepresented in the welding trades, with 15% being Latino, 6% being Black or Asian. This figure highlights some disparities that are existing within the welding trade, but also there is greater gaps that exist, especially between men and women, as men make up 96% of the welding trade. As men make 94% of the welding trade and females 6.1%. 2% of that big workforce identify as LGBTQ. So already we have some disparagement inside the welding industry. I met many women who wanted to become welding or were trying to become welders themselves too. So in my experience, there hasn't been a lack of will for people to get into that, or for women to get into the workforce. There's been a lack of opportunity There's been a lack of opportunity given to women in terms of training or jobs. This is where I want to come in to fill in that gap. My location is small. It is a 12 by 20 location, so it is kind of small. It has its disadvantages in that regards, but there are some opportunities for growth. The market is expected to see a 6% increase in welders who are needed for the future job growth of America. This large job growth potential is the opportunity for a new workforce to come in to help fill in whatever gaps are needed within the economy. Now, starting this business is not going to be easy, as there's going to be funding that is going to be necessary to implement it. In my business plan, it's a $21,000 budget that might be allocated for expenses, hiring teachers, or upgrading existing facilities. But $21,000 over a year span is not that much, as that is roughly equated to a couple $1,000s a month. Mark that in with revenue of charging for classes. It is a potential moneymaker, even in the low range. The average class I've seen has been up to like $700, $3,000 for a semester, or for a backyard teacher to teach you around $500. We're hoping to come in the market between $150 to $200 for a class session. The 4 steps to completely and realistically meet this goal is to provide outreach to schools where children might be wanting to learn this, and also reach out to unemployment offices. The government will give grants to help afford the cost of labor. So the government's going to pick up the tab for teachers and also students who may want to be doing a work study. The second thing that needs to be done in this plan is upgrade the facilities. Electricity would need to be upgraded. We're hiring an electrician. I have many friends who could do this, but also such things as tables. Tables would be needed imported, and a new layout plan of the space would have to be integrated into the plan, which is already has its own section. Other things need to be upgraded too as well. Advertisement efforts. Most of my advertisement outreach has been word of mouth, so there has been no need for monetary websites to do this, like Yelp or Instagram or any pay for click model. However, doing this project has made me realize that I have to revamp my outreach and my marketing needs. So I went ahead and created a website so I could showcase the classes and also my existing welding services. I've also created a Yelp account, which is still pending approval. And lastly, an Instagram page to reach out to followers and to showcase my work I've done in the past. This business plan has a goal to provide more to society than what I'm taking in myself. So from here on out, 10% is going to be used for nonprofit construction companies that go to third world countries and build new homes, bridges, and any other infrastructures that may be needed to help better their lives. The school is also going to provide for the community, as the community is going to have a labor pool that is ready, people that could either weld things in their own backyard or possibly start a career for themselves and become career welders. The opportunity exists for them. This leads me to unveiling our motto for all advertisement needs for the emphasis of the class, which is, do not be afraid of the future, build it. And that's what we hope to do with this class, by building a future for people. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.